You've spoken in the past about collaborating with Noodlers on special ink colors and have done some fun things in conjunctions with Boho Berry. I'd love to hear more about your collaboration process or how you select projects to collaborate on and what in that general subject area. I actually just had some of this today. I'll go through periods where I'm actually meeting with 2 different manufacturer reps on Wednesday next week. So, some of this is, okay, so let me start off and just say, we've done collaborations with Noodlers, with Edison, Conklin, Monteverde, from like a product side of things, and some others as well, as far as exclusives and things like that. Pretty much when you're talking about collaborating, it's all relationship building, right? So talking to a manufacturer, a distributor, a blogger, something like that, it's all about, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? Can we do something together? Would that make sense? Would there be a benefit to us doing that together as opposed to staying apart? If there is an obvious opportunity to do something together that could increase both of your goals, get you further towards whatever your goals are, then a collaboration makes a whole lot of sense. How do you know where those opportunities are? Who the heck knows? You got to talk to people. So it's all relationship building. You got to be clear about who you are, what it is you do, what are your strengths, where are you trying to go, what are some of your goals, blah, blah, blah. You got to be clear on all that stuff. And then you got to link up with other cool people who are similarly self-aware about what it is they're trying to do and, have some kind of goals and opportunities and resources to be able to do something, ideally, that you could not accomplish purely on your own. So using Noodlers as an example. Noodlers is an ink manufacturer that I could never hope to become. They have a specialty with ink. Nathan Tardif is an ink mad scientist, a genius, so he can develop inks way better than I possibly ever could in-house. So I can collaborate with him with, our combined brain power as far as, Liberty's Elysium as an example. I basically told him, hey, I really want a permanent blue ink. I love blue. I want something to match our logo. We live down the street from Patrick Henry. I would love a Liberty or Death kind of, thing, Patrick Henry themed ink. And he ended up combining it to Liberty's Elysium, taking that Liberty theme with Patrick Henry and combined it with Nathan Hale. And, and so it's like, we were able to do something on that ink that we wouldn't have been able to do separately, and that ink is big on one of our most popular inks that we sell. So that was really cool. So neat collaboration there. It worked with both of our goals, strong alignments, worked out great. Not related to a specific product, but something you said, Boho Berry. So that's Kara Benz. She's great. She is more of I'll call a marketing influencer. So not so much a product manufacturing side. So she's an influencer. So she has built up a huge audience by adding value to people's lives through the stuff that she's posting. She uses products to do the bullet journaling and stuff that she does. A lot of those products are products we sell. So by having her talk and share about her process using our products and then saying you can buy these products at Goulet, she is channeling a lot of people who maybe would not have been exposed to fountain pens and other things that we sell in her tribe, as she calls it. She is able to send people our way that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. She is able to get exposure from us. We can, send her products. We can send her stuff to give away to her tribe so she can further add value. So there's a good, kind of joining relationship that can happen there. So it's all comes down to what is it that you're trying to do. And does it make sense for both of you to be involved? So, there's certainly a lot of opportunities like that can come about. There's times where, I'll talk to somebody and the timing is just not right. And it's, 2-3 years down the road and then an opportunity comes about and it's like, oh, okay, you remember we were talking about this possibly doing this thing someday? Well, here's this opportunity where we could actually do that. So I'm constantly as, an owner and as somebody who's just super interested in all this stuff, I'm constantly, whenever I'm talking to any of our manufacturers, other bloggers, that kind of stuff, I'm always kind of putting the feelers out as far as what is it that you're interested in or what is it that, we think we could do together someday? Is it practical? A good example would be of something that took a while to marinate was Karis Customs. So originally when Karis Customs was first putting out their Kickstarter, they had made a few cell phone cases and stuff, and they made a ballpoint pen, but they never made a fountain pen. So when they did their first Kickstarter, they said, hey, we don't really know much about fountain pens. Can we link to your, reviews and link to your store to point people there for ink and stuff like that? We want to sell our pens, but we want to point to you because you're a good resource. And I said, that's great. I appreciate you asking. Sure, by all means. And then I said, hey, by the way, if you guys have a successful Kickstarter and you ever want to sell your stuff through another retailer, let me know. And they were like, okay, cool. Literally, it was like 2.5 years later before they were at the point where they built it up and they were like, okay, we actually do want to go through retailers. Boom, that groundwork had already been laid. We'd already added value to them without ever, I guess, people from Keras Customs saw our stuff, so it was good exposure for us at the time anyway, to have them point to us as a resource. But probably more likely it was beneficial for them to have, most of their crowd who was not a fountain pen using crowd to then have a resource of fountain pen knowledge. So that ended up working out, really nicely at that time. But we didn't see any direct business relationship interaction from that for another 2.5 years until they were ready to start retailing their stuff. And then it was like, okay, we can actually sell your pens now. So that's kind of cool. So, and that's worked out pretty well. So things like that will happen. Sometimes they take a long time to marinate, but a lot of it just comes down to, talking to people and just seeing maybe what the opportunities are. I'm kind of entrepreneurial spirit, obviously, as you can tell. And so I'm constantly kind of trying to talk to people and just seeing hey, what is it you're doing? Where are you at? And just asking a ton of questions and then thinking about I wonder if maybe someday we could yada, 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 And so whenever I'm meeting with somebody, I'm always thinking what? Somebody else had asked about this too. I wonder if the three of us together could do something, and keeping it loose like that. So there you go. So that's kind of the process, and that's not just for me, but it could be other people on our team or have ideas and hey, you know what? Blah, blah. Like the Goulet notebooks, for example, that was not my idea. Obviously we had notebooks and stuff like that, but we had an opportunity from, the manufacturing company that makes our notebooks. And they had reached out, and I think that Rachel was the one that kind of led point on that. I don't know who had the initial contact, but, she definitely led point on helping to develop those notebooks. So, there's just things that come about that you never know where the opportunity is going to come from. We definitely get hit up a lot with all kinds of opportunities, and so my ears are always open, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if this is really going to work. So it's constantly having to kind of be back and forth and be aware of what's going on and all that. And then, as with any relationship or any collaboration, it's got to be built on trust, honesty, integrity, all that stuff, gratitude. That all goes such a long way in making sure that I'm really big into making sure that everything is a win-win. So I'm never trying to collaborate with somebody and trying to squeeze the most out of it as I can. If anything, I'll probably try to do the opposite and be well, okay, I want to make sure that I am in the relationship, that I am adding a ton of value. That way, they will want to collaborate with me as I've done as many projects as possible. That's kind of more my mentality of it. So might not get quite as much out of it on the onset, but then, down the road, I'll have more opportunities that will come out of it. That's kind of how I operate.